So, it's the month of July, which is pretty exciting for a few reasons. First, it's my birthday month, so that's always a wonderful thing. We get to celebrate the awesomeness that was my birth. Can't wait for that. The other cool thing about July is it means we're officially in the back half of the year. Once that happens, it means it's about the time that we maybe need to start putting together our lists of the games that we are the most excited for. We know that the fall and the holiday time for gaming is coming up. It's creeping up on us, just a couple of months away. So typically what I do every year is I like to go through, take a look at all the games coming out for the back half of the year over the holiday time, typically the most exciting time, and find what games are the most exciting for me, put them together in a list to make it for you guys, discuss what could be happening that's going to be really cool and exciting for the holidays. And this year was interesting because there are some games I'm very excited for, don't get me wrong, but it also feels like there's less happening right now than normal, than most years. And I think a huge part of that, of course, coming from me, this huge Nintendo fan, is that Nintendo really isn't a major player right now because they're counting down until their NX reveal, and we're counting down until the NX and the new Legend of Zelda come out. So without Nintendo being a company making awesome games currently, just a smattering of games coming from them this year, it was hard to find a lot of games to be crazy excited for. Even the other systems and the competition, really overall, no one has any great games. There's no huge first party or exclusive titles coming out period from anyone this year, which is really, really sad. I mean, there's one or two, but they're not to the same level as we're typically used to. There's no Halos or Uncharted's or Zeldas or Marios or any of those things happening this year, and it's too bad. It's, it's okay. Maybe it's time to have a break, but at the same time, I think that it's important to have those things, and it's a shame that there isn't. And I'm wondering if it's a sign about what's happening that there aren't a lot of games, but at the same time, as you've heard me talk about, we just came off of a great E3 that instilled a lot of hope in me and a lot of gamers about everything happening with the gaming industry and these companies and the games that they might be releasing. But regardless, trying not to focus too much on the negative about the things that aren't happening that are fantastic, I do still want to talk very quickly about the 10 games that I am still excited for, because yes, there was about only 10 games across all of the gaming landscape that I'm pretty pumped for this year. Again, it was harder to put this list together this year than most because there just isn't a lot of super crazy exciting things, but there are games to play, and a couple of them are probably a little bit controversial, probably the first few I'll talk about, but it's, good games are good games, and hopefully that's what these turn out to be. So let's get started with my 10 most anticipated games for the holiday of 2016. Okay, number 10 is going to be pretty controversial, and that is going to be No Man's Sky for the PlayStation 4. Now, if this were 2 years ago, I would probably be putting this in my top 5, maybe even my top 3, because I was so excited for it by the time we saw it for the second time. When it was initially showed at the VGX now 3 or 4 years ago, which was a horrible, horrible show, thanks to Joel McHale, what a douchebag. With the reveal of it, everyone was actually really excited when it was revealed, and I was kind of on the fence. I was like, it looks okay, I guess. I just didn't really get it. I thought it was weird that it was so, just unimpressive, visually, which again, normally I don't do, but it just seemed like it was a really low budget, low quality, an indie game. And I was like, it'll probably be fine for that. I thought it was going to be 10 or 15 bucks, and it's that's still fine. I don't really care what it looks like, but it didn't look like a huge AAA experience. Everyone lost their minds, and I just didn't get it. But then I think the following year at E3 maybe was when we saw it again, and they had a new trailer, and the game was way polished, and you started to get an idea of the scope of that game, and whoa, I was very excited. I thought it looked fantastic. The next year, it also looked fantastic, or however long it took before we saw it again. And then, as we know, we've now seen it for 3 or 4 E3s in a row, and the game has just been delayed, and it's never come out. No one really knows what the gameplay is supposed to be like, or the context of the world, and I just think that that's too bad. So I'm at the point where I still am curious. I don't know if I want to say I'm excited. I think it's really just a curiosity, and the fact that it is a PlayStation exclusive, and I like to support exclusive games. And there was a time where I was very excited for it, and I think that there is still a chance that it ends up still blowing me away and being very good. So I maintain that little bit of excitement, enough to include it on the list at the lowest spot, number 10. I think that it still could be a great game. Like I said, 2 years ago, I probably would have put it higher, but today it's going to be at number 10. Number 9, boy, do we have another controversial one. Probably the most controversial, Metroid Prime Federation Force. Okay, so I've discussed this game a couple of times, but it's been a while because This game was such a big deal when it was first revealed at E3 last year. For a couple of months, it was all anyone talked about. Everyone was super down on it, myself included, for a few weeks. And then, luckily, that hate and everything has died down. We've only seen the game once since then. I think at the Nintendo Direct maybe last November. Was it November? Maybe it was something this year. Maybe, I think it might have been a couple months ago this year. Anyway, we've only seen it the one time since, and it, I guess, arguably looked better, but still, everyone's like, what is the deal with this game? Myself, I'm like, man, I just wish, when it first was revealed, I was on the hate train of, I wanted a real Metroid, and the fact that the only thing we got was this weird multiplayer-only, no Samus having Metroid co-op thing, which is, like, not recognizable as Metroid whatsoever, other than, like, the Metroid Prime visual style of the first person with the visor and the arm cannon and all that stuff, and I was like, I wish I could have been excited about it. I was like, what the hell is this? At this point, it's been a while. The last time we saw it, it did look admittedly cool, and I'm at the point where it's like, you know, I just said this before, I do believe that in the deepest depths of Nintendo's headquarters, that they're working on a Metroid, that it's going to be for the NX. I hope it comes out within the first 2 years of the NX. I hope that when they show us the NX, they give us something, a freaking logo, anything to tell us, hey, we are paying attention to this franchise. We know everyone wants it and loves it. We're making something. And like that will ease our pain and my pain so much as a Metroid superfan. So I don't think that like Nintendo's totally forgotten Metroid. Therefore, therefore I'm willing to just look at Federation Force as this weird experimental portable Metroid game that hopefully can turn out to be kind of fun. And if it's just kind of fun and I can just look at it as that, then that's cool. So I want this game to be good. I do think there's a huge chance it's not going to be good or interesting to me and a lot of gamers, but I'm willing to give it a chance when I look at some of the gameplay and I just take off my lens, my visor, I'll call it, my visor of, oh, there's no Samus and it doesn't have this and that and the other, and I just look at it as a game that's like Metroid-esque. I mean, it looks fun. Maybe it's going to be really cool. I don't know. Could be a disaster, could be fun, but I'm a Metroid super fan, and at this point, I'm including it very low on this list. Any other year, a Metroid game would be number one, not this game. So I'm including it low on this list, but I'm still excited enough, I guess. So Metroid Prime Federation Force sits at number 9. Okay, at number 8 is Final Fantasy 15, and I'm excited. Obviously, I'm including on this list. Everyone's all over the place with this game. Most Final Fantasy fans, at least the ones that I know, seem to be pretty excited for this game still. There are definitely some who are not into it. Some of the people who I know, and even some of the dudes on the podcast that we do, I think would normally be into it. But this one, they feel like, I don't know if this is going to be really good. It's not really Final Fantasy. And as I've said before, I don't really get into this conversation about Final Fantasy should be this way or shouldn't be this way, or these are the good ones and these are the bad ones, because I don't have that history with Final Fantasy. It's just a series that eluded me throughout my entire history of gaming, from the NES all the way until today. Like, I never really touched it. I did actually play, you're going to laugh, I did play Final Fantasy 13, and I didn't hate Final Fantasy 13. I thought it was kind of cool. I liked a lot about it. And, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to admit that I'm not the Final Fantasy fan that should be lobbying what's the best and worst. So I would never tell anyone, oh, that game's great, you should like it. Because I get that with Final Fantasy fans who know the series, that's not considered a good game, and then everyone fights about 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those are the ones that everyone argue about. And so that's fine. I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't really care. I thought 13 was okay, and I think 15 looks awesome. I love the visual style of the world. I love the setting. I love the battles that we've seen, and it might be too much for me. I'm not really good at those kinds of complicated RPGs, but I played through most of 13 and enjoyed it, and it was very complicated, so I feel like I'll be able to get into 15. I think it looks cool. I love that this series is continuing. It's a big, bombastic, new Final Fantasy adventure, and it's hard to argue with that. Like, that's just a huge staple in gaming, going back since, again, the NES days when, relevant gaming started to turn into what it is today. So I grew up when Final Fantasy was a big deal. Even though I was never playing those games, it was always huge when a game released. Everyone talked about it and everyone debated them. And so I'm familiar with the conversation. I appreciate the series because of that historic touch it adds to gaming. So I'm really pumped to see what Final Fantasy 15 is all about. All right, coming in at number 7 is Paper Mario Color Splash. Yes, I'm excited for this game. I know a lot of diehard Paper Mario fans, as Mizati even talked about in his recent video, a lot of diehard Paper Mario fans are just like super down on this game, and it's going to be like the Sticker Star Saga game, or Super Sticker Star. I don't even know what it's called. I didn't play it. People really hated that game, apparently, and I don't know why. I guess it changed the formula. The only Paper Mario I've actually played is the one on the Wii, Super Paper Mario, which Last time I discussed it, I kept confusing it for Thousand Year Door, which is on the GameCube, and I don't think I played that one. I feel like I'd remember if I did, but I know I played Super Paper Mario, and I loved that game. I thought it was great. I know some people say it's passable based compared to the first two Paper Mario games, but it's not, began the trend of slipping away from what makes Paper Mario what it is. I only know that game, and I liked that game a lot, so I'm excited for Color Splash. I also think Color Splash looks legitimately cool. I appreciate the color changing idea and what it does, and I'm excited for that combat again, and I love the quirky humor and the great dialogue of those games. I mean, there's really not much else I have to say the truth. It's like the last Wii U game we're going to get until Zelda, which will be the last game. So we have to give it, some respect in that arena. I'm very excited for one final Wii U game, the only one for this year. I think it does look good. It's a Mario game. It's a Paper Mario game. It looks visually awesome. The style of gameplay looks really cool, and I think it's going to be great. So it's another one where I don't have a dog in this fight of it's not the Paper Mario it should be, and what about this and that? It doesn't have these things. And it's like, well, if that's true, then that sucks, I guess, for you guys. For me, I'm just excited to play the game. So Paper Mario for me sits at number 7. All right, moving on to number 6. And I realized before I even say number 6, I should have said this at the beginning of this video. I don't know why I waited till now. I'm a little bit sick, and I don't know if you guys can tell, so I just need to apologize. I've been kind of blowing my nose this morning and a little bit last night, and I'm just a little stuffy, and it's probably just allergies. I've had a lot of that this year. And so if I sound weird or if I sound stuffy or quiet or my voice is strange, that's why. So now you know my story about how I'm a little bit sick, but I still wanted to make a video because I have the time to do so, and I was excited to do this stuff. So moving on to the goods. Number 6, Watch Dogs 2. Yes, Watch Dogs 2, because I know a lot of people who would follow this channel probably are not into Watch Dogs and are mad at it because of what happened with the Wii U version, as was I, but I also bought the Wii U version day one. I had that thing pre-ordered for a long time. I was always very excited to play it, and while it totally pissed me off everything that happened with it as far as what Ubisoft did with the Nintendo version and wasted their time with the Wii U version, I've said this many times, I still liked the game a lot. I thought it was really fun. And it's the Wii U version that I played. I thought it was a fantastic, fun, open world, kind of hacking, sleuthy adventure. I thought it was great. And if you need proof of that, by the way, I made a 5-part Let's Play when that game came out that was insanely popular for my typical views and videos. It was insanely popular, and you can see me having a blast. And I'm not even really hamming it up for the camera. Like, I am genuinely enjoying that game as I'm playing it. So look through my Let's Play stuff on the channel. Like, you'll find it. I did a 5-part Let's Play, and you can see how much I really enjoyed that game. And Watch Dogs 2 looks so much better than even what they did with the first one. I love the new character. I love the parkour stuff. I love the new city that they're in, recreated San Francisco. And I love, like, the new idea of not this broody, kind of quiet, weird guy who covers his face. He's just like a young kid. I guess he's a younger guy who's just who gets set up with DedSec, who's like the hacking organization you're fighting in the first game. And I just think it looks awesome. I love what they're doing. I think that Watch Dogs is a franchise that if Ubisoft doesn't bastardize it like they did with Assassin's Creed and turn it into an annual thing, it could be a great series for a long time. If they give it a couple of years between each game, I'm very happy with this as a new franchise. If the sequel didn't look better than the first one, I would be pretty upset and worried, but I genuinely feel like Watch Dogs 2 looks like an amazing improvement and a much better, more fun game than the first, which I enjoyed. So, controversial as it may be, that's fine, but I loved the first one, and I think Watch Dogs 2 looks great, so it sits at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is The Last Guardian for the PlayStation 4. Oh my gosh, the story and the documentaries that could be made about the development history of The Last Guardian. Oh my freaking gosh. But you know what? I've always maintained that game looked great from the first time we saw it in 2009 at E3. And ever since it then disappeared for 6-7 years until now, here it is ready to come out in October 2016. I've always thought it looked great. Yes, you can crack jokes and talk about this and that and all the things that have probably gone wrong. But the game concept, the story concept, and the team that it's coming from and their pedigree is what's helped me stay excited for this game. I loved Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. I think that those guys are really talented. And Ueda, I always forget his first name, but I think his last name is pronounced Ueda, the guy who runs and was a part of Ico until now. He's leaving once this game is done. I think he's a really smart, talented guy, and I love his ideas. And if The Last Guardian is what I think it is, where there's this touching, emotional story of this young boy and this huge dog, cat, bird thing, and now we've seen that there's 2 of them. That's what the new trailer showed us at E3. There's going to be a relationship there. But probably like Ico, there's going to be this sort of puzzle solving element of, navigating yourself through this big sky castle thing and trying to make sure that this thing is okay at the same time. And when I take the concept that they first had with Ico and that relationship between those two characters and put it on this huge scale on these new systems in 2016 for The Last Guardian, I get really excited, and I think that it's still going to be a great game. And we discussed this on the podcast too, like maybe it's probably not going to live up to the expectations and the hype at this point. There's no way it can after 7 years and all of the drama and the controversy surrounding this game. But if it just releases as the good game it was always intended to be, I'm going to be very happy with it. So I think The Last Guardian looks great. I don't care how long it's taken to be made. Maybe it turns out to be a turd, and if it does, then I'll say that it turned out to be a turd. But I feel pretty good that it's going to be a really great game, so it sits here at number 5 for me. Okay, coming in at number 4, I have to say the top 4 were the hardest for me to put the orders together. Everything else, 5 through 10, was not so bad. These 4, it was really tough for me to pick the order, so we got into some really good stuff. Coming in at number 4 is Dishonored 2. Now, Dishonored 1 is a game I only played a little bit. I remember thinking it looked fantastic. I was excited to get it. When I started it, I thought it was cool, but it came out at a time, and I don't even remember now, there was a lot of other games coming out, and I was also just really busy. So I actually never got more than a couple of hours into that game, which I always regretted because it was very good. It has this very kind of Bioshocky sort of historical yet futuristic vibe happening, and you've got the powers that allow you to do like, warping around and stuff, and it was just really cool, and there was like a Bioshock element to it. And I love Bioshock too, by the way. But it was in this steampunk kind of world, and it had this assassination kind of thing going, and you could play through the game in different ways, and it was a really cool idea. And I liked the couple of hours I played. I just never got to get far into it, and I'm so sad about that still. But Dishonored 2, Bethesda took a lot of time to showcase Dishonored 2 at their E3 press conference, their second one ever, and they did a fantastic job showing it off. They've shown that they really know how to do that, the way they did Fallout last year and Dishonored 2 this year. And Dishonored 2 looks awesome. I love the new additions of the powers and the shadow powers, and I love the visuals, and the story looks interesting, and you can pick between two characters. And I love the way the new world looks. It's like set in the same world, but it's like a different area, I think he was explaining. And I don't know, man. It's just a really cool new franchise, just like Watch Dogs, I think, that has a lot of potential going forward. I think that this game's going to be a big hit because the first one was obviously a big enough hit that Bethesda is putting a lot of time and money into Dishonored 2, and I think that it shows. Dishonored 2 looked awesome at E3. I want to go back and play the first one. I should probably pick up that remaster since I never finished the 360 version I had, and get excited for Dishonored 2 because I think that it's going to be fantastic. So it sits here at number 4. And for number 3 is a game that is going to take up way too much of my time, Monster Hunter Generations. I am a Monster Hunter super fan. Me and some of my best friends from back home in Denver, Monster Hunter super fans. My girlfriend is into it a little bit. She got Monster Hunter 4 for her 3DS, and we've played. Monster Hunter is the jam. It's not for everybody, but it does have a very huge, strong following for a reason because the gameplay and the customization available to you is insane. It's so much fun to team up with people and fight these humongous, gigantic monsters and work to get loot and materials and gear and just make all of your gear, your armor, and your weapons better and better and better and mix and match and get all these stat boosts, and it's a blast. It's very complicated, and I'm pretty good at navigating through it, but really I just use one of my best friends from back home to really tell us what we need to be doing because he's so tuned into all the different elements of that game and what makes this gear better than this gear and that gear, because it is very complicated. But it's so worth it to get into, and it's got that very specific paced out gameplay. I think that the new one looks like the best one yet. Monster Hunter 4 was the best one yet, and now Generations looks to be even better. It's called like Monster Hunter X something, I think, in Japan. I keep forgetting. XG or I don't know. It just looks fantastic. It looks much faster. I do think that the verticality might have been taken out of this game, and I'm a little bit worried about that because that was one of the best parts of Monster Hunter 4. And your ability to jump on monsters and take them down, which this one still has as well. But there's just some other cool new elements being put into Generations. It just looks wonderful. Bigger, better monsters, more areas to go to, a whole new co-op experience to play. I mean, I just love Monster Hunter, and I almost put this at number 2, but I ended up not doing that, obviously. So I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan. Can't wait for Generations, so it sits at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Now, Deus Ex Human Revolution is an awesome game, and it's the reason that I'm so excited for this. the first Deus Ex games, which I think there was two of them, like the PS2 and the 6th gen PS2. I think they were only PS2 and PC back then. I never played those, but they were very popular. A lot of people talked about them quite a bit. I didn't really understand what kind of games they were at the time. Now I know. And having played through Human Revolution, which I have the director's cut on the Wii U, which is fan-freaking-tastic, by the way, I'm so excited to step back into this world. And I mean, Mankind Divided, other than like the stupid boneheaded pre-order tier thing that they tried to do last year, just as a game, it looks great. You know, it's a very interesting. There's a lot of morality happening in the story and the universe of Deus Ex that a lot of people might not be familiar with. Of what are we allowing ourselves to do to people? What are we allowing people to do to themselves? Should it be seen okay that people can augment their body and give themselves certain abilities or make themselves look this way or do that way? It's almost treated like, and now like it's plastic surgery, people who choose to augment themselves. And through that plastic surgery, you almost now identify yourself as a certain kind of person, or you fit within a group of citizens that a lot of people look down upon. And it literally can change your station in life and the future of your life based on your decision to augment yourself or not. And some people do it illegally. And of course, you're trying to just take down all these other bad guys and do this whole thing. But it's not so much the actual story. It's the backdrop that the story is set against that, to me, is very interesting. And what I found so cool about Human Revolution, that whole idea of people who have augmented and people who look down on those who have augmented. And of course, you play as a character who's augmented himself, and that gives you some really fun gameplay abilities, and it's just a cool futuristic setting. It's like the Fifth Element meets the Matrix, meets Terminator. There's just all these cool sci-fi things happening there. And for what Mankind Divided will hopefully be able to do on this new hardware is very exciting. They're typically very visually pleasing games, and I'm hoping that we're going to get the same here. I fully believe in this game. And it would be awesome if we were getting like an NX version down the road or something, or if we were getting a Wii U version. That would be really cool because I'd love to use that gamepad again, but that's not happening. I'll probably get it on my PS4. So yeah, Deus Ex is a game that if you're not familiar with it, I recommend looking into it. If you have any system, I guess, because they did release a director's cut for the other systems, play Human Revolution. It's a really, really good game. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It's a lot of fun, and I think Mankind Divided is going to be great, so it is my number 2 most anticipated game. And for number 1, I went for the hipster choice, the obscure choice that no one would, of course, see coming, because that's what we do with our number 1s on our lists nowadays. But I also genuinely am the most excited for this game, and that is Steep from Ubisoft. Now, if you saw me review and discuss Ubisoft during E3 week, I mentioned that I think Steep looks great because I am a snowboarder in real life. It's, again, I'm from Denver, Colorado. The Rocky Mountains are right there. And for years I've been going up the mountain. I'm typically a Keystone guy. I love Keystone and A Basin, but there's plenty of great parks to pick from. I'll be in Breckenridge actually coming up this fall as well. I'm going back and we're going to be in Breckenridge. I love to snowboard. I love the winter sports. It's something that I do and I'm passionate about. And Steep is a game about that. And I think that that's really cool. It's a brand new IP, so we have to give a little bit of a shout out. There's a couple new IPs on here. Well, Last Guardian and No Man's Sky, also new IPs. And then, of course, Steep is another new IP, so that's got to be something that we're very excited about and supporting. And it's this new take on the winter sports stuff. And I've discussed this before. Like, the SSX series is one of my absolute top 10 favorite game series of all time. Love it to death. And Steep is definitely going to be different than what those games are doing, but the fact that it's trying to continue the winter sports genre in a world where we don't have enough stuff like this is very exciting. And it's got this open world, kind of open mountain exploration element to it, which is building off of what some of the SSX games actually tried to do, most notably SSX 3, and then the most recent SSX that came out on the 7th gen a couple of years ago. I think that Steep can do some really cool things there, and we now have the hardware to really take advantage and make a huge mountain that probably feels like a living, breathing mountain. And there's all these other things. You're doing like parasailing or something in there. There was all these different things that you could do, skiing and snowboarding, and different sorts of ways to traverse down the mountain, and I think ways to go through different courses and stuff with your friends. It's got this, I can't say MMO-like sort of approach, but it feels like it's supposed to be like a shared universe kind of thing on a huge mountain where you're skiing and snowboarding and parasailing and skydiving and all these different extreme sports and stuff that you can do. And I just, it's just appealing to that winter sports fan in me. And because I think it's cool they're doing the open world thing, and I think it's cool that it's a new IP, I have to give them a shout out and give them some love. I mean, I definitely have my issues with Ubisoft politically within the gaming landscape, but I think that they sometimes still make some really great games, you guys, and I have to give them credit for that, and I have to give Steep credit for being a fantastic looking new IP that isn't just another shooter. Even though I like shooters, we have so many of them, and this is a game that isn't another shooter. It's just a nice, calm, no violent, just a skiing and a snowboarding game that looks fantastic. So that's my number one game. I think Steep looks great, and I'm really proud of what Ubisoft seems to be doing with it, and that's my list. So like I said, not a lot of games that are going to blow you away. That just seems to be the case this year. We had a great E3, but, you know, as has been discussed, most of what looked great about this E3 is maybe a couple of years off. A lot of these things are next year. Some of them are even farther. I mean, God of War, who knows when that's going to come out? That's probably 2 or 3 years away. You know, Horizon is right after the beginning of the year. Zelda, of course, right after the beginning of the year, unless something changes there. We cross our fingers. You know, all these great games, they do look great, but most of them are pretty far off. But these are the 10 games that I could find that I'm the most excited for. I am really excited for the new Shantae, another indie game called Song of the Deep. BioShock Collection was just announced, and I'm so excited for that. I actually was going to include it on this list, but I didn't want to because it's a remaster. But I think it's going to be really great. You know, there's a couple of other games to be excited for sure, but these 10 were the ones that stood out to me. Sorry, and I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how this holiday plays out. But I do want to know what you guys think about my list of my 10 games, and maybe talk about the games that you're the most excited for coming up for this holiday. It's not the same as most years. We don't have a lot of Nintendo players, which is too bad. No Smash Brothers or Bayonettas or Marios or any of that stuff, but that's okay. There's still some games to look forward to. So these are the games I'm most excited for. What do you guys think about this list? Tell me the games that you're the most pumped for this year. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. Thanks for putting up with me being a little bit sick and stuffy here. And this is Rob with Rule 2 Review. I'll catch you guys next time on another video.